So let's get straight into the main discussion. So we're going to be running through our top 3 RPGs that we're looking forward to in 2018. So JJ, do you already have your list ready?
Yeah, I already have my three. And one of the things I want to mention, and I mentioned it before we started recording, these are going to be games that I know have definite release dates that are already marked off on the calendar as coming out in a specific time frame or specific date. Because we both know there's a lot of other bigger RPGs and bigger games overall that are coming out throughout the entirety of 2018, but the majority of them have yet to be given official release dates. So I'm not going to mention those as like my top three that I'm looking forward to, even though it's pretty obvious some of the games that we're both looking forward to.
Yeah, indeed, and that sounds fair. So yeah, we're definitely going to be naming stuff that's got an actual release, at least the release window, release window, release date, that sort of thing. There's a lot of JRPGs and RPGs out there that don't have a release date that are simply stipulated as coming in 2018. So yeah, we're not going to include those because those could get pushed back or delayed at any time. So yeah, let's get right into your list, into your top 3 RPGs.
So for my top three, and again, this is very hard because we have a lot of interesting ones that are coming out at the very beginning of the year, like that first like 4 months. I want to say there's some really good ones. Now, if I had to limit it to three, the first one I have to say that I think is really going to make a lot of waves. That's coming out this month actually, is on the 26th, is Monster Hunter World, and the reason being is because I finally got a chance outside of PlayStation Experience where I got to play the demo that was there. I got to play an exclusive one that people didn't get on PlayStation Network, and then when I finally got back, I played the one that everybody played afterwards. This is going to be a big deal because for a fact, Gary, I've reviewed a couple of the Monster Hunter games on the website on various different platforms, and I have a lot of experience with the series. I think this is going to be the entry of the series that really resonates with a lot of people, and for a couple different reasons. Number one, it's on PlayStation 4, and it's going to be on a lot more different platforms than what it's been on in the past. This is the first real modern day Monster Hunter, I should say. Even though we've had Monster Hunter on the Wii U and we had Monster Hunter on the 3DS, this is going to be the game that I feel like gets a lot more people into the series because for a couple reasons. Besides that, it's not only kind of gone back to the drawing board and really focused on what they could really do, or at least the developers can do to make the game a little bit more exciting and a little bit more accessible, which is what I've always said about the series. The series has always been a victim of its own restrictions, where they've kept things very pure. They've kept things very, very, tough for the sake of being tough without actually addressing little details that would overall make the experience better. And I feel like that's what they've done now with Monster Hunter World. And it's only going to make that series blow up bigger outside of just in Japan. I feel like here in the United States and also in Europe, it's going to get a much more bigger following. It's going to have a lot more people playing the game online, and it's going to have a lot of content. They already have announced a lot of DLC content related to costumes, extra bonus outfits, and weapons that you'll be able to get, as well as also what they've done in the past with some of their previous iterations, a lot of free missions, a lot of free content that you'll just be able to download regularly. And I think that's great. I think that's just taking what was already good about the Monster Hunter series and making that so much better. So that's just one for me. And I know I'm going a little bit long, but the second game I'm obviously really excited about, and I'm pretty sure this is also going to be another one for you, Gary, later on also this month, is going to be Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. I'm pretty sure that that's a game that you and me are both going to be really excited about. Now, Dissidia Final Fantasy, we've played actually at E3. We've had a chance to get some hands-on time. And again, I just can't wait to finally dive into the meat of this game. We still don't have any idea of what's going on with the story campaign stuff, which I'm pretty sure they're going to have that in the final release. We already have kind of gotten a good idea of what the gameplay is like. We've already played in the beta. I think you've played in the beta too as well, correct?
I played a little.
Yeah, so we pretty much know what's up with that game gameplay wise, and it's been out for quite some time in Japanese arcades for a while. But this is going to be the first time where we really get some hands-on time with the final release with some of the other content outside of just the online multiplayer. Now, I hope, at least in some respect, they've improved on that experience because there was a lot of connection issues here and there with Dissidia Final Fantasy. It was even tough to really connect to other people that I had on my friends list that had the beta as well back in the day, or at least before PSX. And I'm hoping that's at least made a little bit easier. Like you could at least make private matches and stuff like that. But here's hoping that ends up being a good game. I'm more excited about the single player content than I am about the multiplayer content, even though this is the first in the series because there were two previous to City of Final Fantasy games on the PSP. This is the first in the series where it's actually going online. So I'm also hoping that the roster, even though they've revealed a lot of the different characters, including some of the newer Final Fantasy characters like Noctis, character I believe from Final Fantasy 14 as well, and also from Final Fantasy Tactics. I believe it's Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions that makes an appearance as a playable character. But being able to see some of the other villains and other surprises that they might have, that's going to be very, very exciting for me. Now, besides that, okay, my final pick, which is very, very tough because there is a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot of, but there's a number of different games that already have definitive release dates or release windows that are all going to be awesome. And I'm pretty sure some of these, you know, some of the ones I miss out on are going to be on your list, Gary. But the one I also want to give a big shout out to is Ni no Kuni 2. Now, I think both me and you both got a chance to check out Ni no Kuni 2 at E3. It was very brief. We went to a presentation, and I don't even think we got hands-on time with it. I think we got it very, very briefly because again, the lines were so long and everything. But I at least got a chance to watch the game, and not only is it more of what you love about Ni no Kuni, as far as like the different monsters, the different spells, and the overall aesthetic of it, everything is improved upon from at least what I saw. Without getting into the weeds and getting into the specific details about it, I feel like this is going to be a good sequel that a lot of people are really going to enjoy, that are really going to gravitate towards, and are really going to be charmed by it because it has that Miyazaki style of like animation or aesthetic to it, which is what the first Ni no Kuni had. But I feel like it's even more so this time around, especially when we saw it in that presentation at E3 and all the different trailers that have been dropping. But that I feel like it's going to be really, really cool. And I can't wait to dive into it when it comes out. So those are my top three. Again, there's other games that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are listening to this. They're like, why didn't he talk about this game? Why didn't he talk about this game? But you got to understand there's a lot here. So those are the three that are my picks right now. So Gary, take it away. Which ones are yours?
Yeah, well, yeah, two of those games are definitely on my list as well. So yeah, on my list, I'll start with Monster Hunter, and that's because of a lot of the same reasons that you said. And you know, I've never really had a full-on experience with the Monster Hunter series myself because I never had the platform that, you know, the games were on. So now that this is coming to PS4, it's right up my alley. And you know, I like the change in graphics and everything, the visuals. They've kind of souped it up a lot and made it a lot more realistic looking, a lot more, you know, fantasy driven and everything. So because of that, you know, it looks like something that I'll really enjoy. So yeah, there's no way that I can pass up on, you know, finally trying out this series and getting into it. Now that it's on, you know, a platform that I own and everything. And you know, the little extras that they've shown as well with Aloy being in there and stuff like that, that I find that pretty cool. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Monster Hunter, and that's coming out real soon this month. So that's, you know, a great start to 2018 right there. And another game that you mentioned was Ni no Kuni 2, and I remember being in that presentation with you at E3 last year in 2017, and yeah, it looked amazing. I like a lot of the story elements that they're adding to it this time around. I love the first game as well, and you know, even though this is a lot different, it's still very intriguing, and I love the art style, you know, and the overall, the old school, you know, JRPG kind of gameplay. It's just something I'm really a fan of, and it seems like this game is going to far surpass the first game, and I'm sure a lot of people will actually get this game too, because it, you know, more than the first one, because the first one kind of came out towards the end of the PS3 cycle, so I think a lot of people kind of missed out on the experience. But this one, you know, we're kind of in the middle, if you will, of the PS4 cycle. So, you know, a lot of people are probably going to pick this up, and it's probably going to be a lot more hyped, and, you know, just a bigger deal than the first game was, I think. And the last one is, you know, I wasn't sure if I should pick this one or not, but it's just like Monster Hunter. it's been a series that I've been curious about for a very long time, but I just never, had the means to really get into it. But this is a series that's very popular in Japan, and it actually used to, like, I don't know if it's still true this day, but when this game released, like, everybody would just, like, they would take the day off from work or whatever, because the new game is out and everything. So yeah, it's Dragon Quest 11 is,
Oh yeah, that's a good pick.
yeah, like, I've always been intrigued with this, the art style, the old school JRPG, gameplay and everything. And just everything about it, like, it's really intriguing, the dungeons and everything like that. And it's by Square Enix, a company that I love already, so I kind of trust their judgment in what they're going to produce and everything. So I think it's about time I really get into Dragon Quest. There's been a lot of, like, side games, like Dragon Quest, just spin-offs and stuff like that that have been released. And that can be very confusing for someone who really wants to get into Dragon Quest. But now that I know the actual, official number is coming, this is going to be my entry point for sure into the series. So I'm keeping my eye on that. And yeah, I think that releases around June or July. So still a long wait, but I'm going to be doing my research. I'm going to be doing my homework, right up to release, just to make sure I'm prepared for it, because I'm sure that's going to be a real hardcore JRPG to get into. But yeah, that's pretty much my third pick. Do you have any honorable mentions, like stuff that you wanted to mention but really couldn't?
I think we should. There's a couple that are at the very beginning of the year, or at least towards the beginning of the year, that I think we should give some shout outs to. Two in particular, I want to name outright. I want to name the Secret of Mana remake, which I think is a very important game, or at least a remake that's coming out, because again, it's being done, with a lot of love and a lot of reverence for the original game. And also a big shout out to Yakuza 6, The Song of Life. Now, the Yakuza franchise has been on an upward spiral for quite a while. Ever since Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 0 came out, and I reviewed those games, they've been getting better. And I saw Yakuza 6 both at E3 and at PSX, and that game is looking pretty damn good, and they're addressing and changing a lot of good stuff in there that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate, especially if you've been following the Yakuza series for years. Keep in mind, they're also going to get a Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is pretty much going to be a remake of Yakuza 2 in the same vein that the first one was. And with Yakuza 6, I feel like with all the stuff that they're doing in there, they're going to bring into Yakuza Kiwami 2 or any other future Yakuza games. And I think that's for the better. So those are my two honorable mentions that I really want to give a shout out to.
Definitely Dissidia was one of mine, for all the reasons you said. And we already know I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I really want to see what the single player story is all about in that game. And another one, which, I'm not too sure about, but I'm just like, the visuals of this game just really stood out to me. And then I heard that a lot of people who have worked on Final Fantasy are also working on this series. And it's by, damn, what's the studio? What's the name of the studio? I'll remember in a sec, but the name of the game is Grand Blue Fantasy.
Now, I think that's Tokyo RPG Factory. I could be wrong on that, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because the first game was...
correct this in the comments if you guys can. If you're listening, says let us know if we're right on that one, because again, I'm not too sure, but I think it's pretty sure it's Tokyo RPG Factory.
Yeah, I think you might be right. But the first game was a mobile game, and it was pretty well received, and it had music from Nobuo Uematsu as well, which is interesting for a mobile game. But this one is actually going to be like a full-scale console RPG, and that's why I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, again, that's going to be my entry point into the series. And yeah, I remember they showed it. I think it was at Gamescom 2017 when they showed it at the Sony conference, and it just really stood out to me. Like, it caught my attention. Not many people were talking about it, but I remember seeing it and thinking, you know what, that I can tell that's something that I would want to play. So yeah, I'm
Sounds
actually
cool.
looking forward to that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it for my honorable mentions.